I don't really watch TV anymore, not after what happened. It started when I moved into the old unit above the laundromat. Rent was cheap, just too cheap, but I told myself I'd make it work. I was between jobs, you see, still trying to shake off a bad breakup, and the thought of living alone appealed to me. I didn't mind the faint hums of the dryers below or the flickering lights in the hallway. It was quiet up there, almost peaceful. Almost. There was an old CRT television sitting in the corner of the living room when I moved in. One of those chunky ones with a static dial and a wood grain frame. I didn't own a TV, so I decided to keep it. The landlord said it was left behind years ago, and it didn't work anyways. But on my first night, as I was unpacking, I heard something. A soft crackle. When I turned around, the TV was on, glowing faintly with grey static. I figured maybe the power surge did it. So I unplugged the cable cord, but the static didn't go away. I actually had to pull the plug from the wall to make it stop. That was strange, sure, but at the time I laughed it off. I thought, old wiring, maybe? Old building? Old me trying not to care? The next night, though, it happened again. Only this time, when I turned towards the screen, I thought I saw something moving through the static. Not clearly, just a vague outline, like a tall shape shifting behind a fogged window. I stared for maybe 30 seconds, then I pulled the plug again. I told myself it was my imagination. You see, my ex used to tease me for overanalyzing everything. Not every shadow's got teeth, she'd say. But that night, when I went to bed, the sound followed me. Soft, distant static, coming from somewhere in the apartment. By the third day, I was ready to get rid of it. I dragged the TV towards the door, but it was heavier than it looked. I ended up leaving it near the wall, planning to call the landlord later. That night, I woke up around 3 a.m. The static was louder now, muffled but constant. I stumbled into the living room, half asleep. The TV was on again, only this time there wasn't any static. The screen was pure black, but in the reflection I saw myself standing there, and behind me, someone's else. I spun around, heart pounding. No one was there. When I looked back, the reflection showed only me again. After that, I didn't sleep. The next morning, I went to the pawn shop down the road. The owner, an old guy named Vince, said he'd take the TV off my hands for $20. I didn't even care about the money, I just wanted it gone. As he lifted it onto the counter, he squinted at the glass screen. Man, he muttered, you sure this thing works? Feels warm. Yeah, I said quickly, just take it. He shrugged and gave me a receipt. That night, my apartment was finally quiet. I poured myself a drink and put on some music. I was just trying to unwind. Then, sometime past midnight, I heard that sound again, a soft hissing sound, like static. I froze. The TV, it was gone. There was no screen left to blame it on. The noise was coming from the wall. I pressed my ear to it, just drywall and paint separating me from the unit next door. It sounded like faint whispers, laid under the static hum. I banged on the wall. Hello? No response, but that sound stopped for about 5 seconds. Then a voice came through, crackly, distant, and low. You shouldn't have given me away. I stumbled backwards, knocking over my drink. The voice had come from inside the wall. I called the landlord the next morning, demanding to know who lived next door. She told me the unit had been empty for years. So I didn't argue, I just hung up. By the 5th night, I was barely sleeping. Every sound felt like it came from the static. I even started unplugging every electronic I owned, Router, phone, charger, even the smoke alarm. I sat in the dark and waited. At 2:47 a.m., my phone buzzed. The screen flickered, and then the static started playing again from my phone speaker this time. A faint image began forming across the glass. It was too pixelated to make out at first, then clearer. A face. Not just any face. It was my face. Except these eyes were wrong. They were dark and wide. And behind my reflection, barely visible, the same tall shape I'd seen in the TV static stood there, motionless. I threw the phone across the room. It hit the wall, screen shattering. But even through the cracked glass, I could see the faint glow of a static still pulsing underneath. That morning, I went back to the pawn shop. I couldn't see Vince there. The clerk told me Vince hadn't shown up for work in 2 days. When I asked about the TV, she frowned. "What TV?" she said. I told her I'd sold him one, an old CRT, wood paneling, broken dials. She shook her head. "We don't take those anymore. Haven't for years." That night, I started to pack. I didn't care about the deposit. I just needed out. While taping up a box, I heard something faint, like a hum from inside the power socket. I crouched down. The plug holes were dark, but the sound was there, soft, static, rising and falling. Then a whisper slipped through. "Don't turn away this time." The lights flickered, the air felt heavy, and before I could even stand up, the screen of my broken phone lit up again, across the room, showing that some black void, that same tall figure, but this time he wasn't in the background, he was right behind me. I woke up on the floor hours later. Morning light spilled through the blinds. Everything was quiet again. My heart still felt like it was trying to climb out of my chest. I checked my phone. It was completely fried. The screen was completely black. I told myself I had imagined it stress, maybe exhaustion, maybe some carbon monoxide leak, anything but what I'd seen. But then I noticed something carved in the wall near the socket. Letters, jagged and uneven. "Look when it buzzes." I moved out that afternoon, left the boxes, the furniture, everything. The landlord didn't ask questions when I dropped off the key. She looked tired, like she's seen this before. After that, I ended up crashing with a friend for a few weeks. I tried my hardest to forget. I got a new phone, new job, new place. Life moved on. Until last night. I was half asleep when the new TV in my apartment flickered. Just for a second, then back to normal. But before it changed back, I swear I saw it. A black screen, a reflection, and over my shoulder something moving, something tall, something smiling.